My name is Jesper Kärrbrink, and I have the great pleasure of having Henrik Tjärnström with me here today. Henrik is the CEO of Kindred. Welcome, Henrik.
Thank you very much, Jesper.
I know that all successful CEOs are, and rightly so, are downplaying the rules when it comes to the development and the success of the company. But at the same time, it's very interesting to know who the person is that is on top of the ship, so to speak. So could we start with just a short, brief summary of who is Henrik Tjärnström?
Yeah, no, as you say, I'm very fortunate to be surrounded with so many good people, and I think that's been a benefit for us at Kindred throughout our history, that we have the pleasure of having sort of the best people around, and working together we have been able to create what we have done over the years. And I think that's something I just want to start with. But for me, it's I come from a Swedish background, as you say. I've worked both in construction company and with Skanska, the big Swedish one, but both in Sweden, but also internationally in London and in the UK. And that's actually when I was working for Skanska in the UK in 2003 that I got in contact with what is Kindred today, or Unibet back then. I was sort of asked by the board if I wanted to take over in the company and become the CEO. And that was, of course, an extreme challenge, but also something I was really keen on taking on and trying and seeing, and having worked two and a half years together with Petter very closely and with a very good cooperation. I felt that I had a good opportunity, but we were for sure facing some challenges back then, but we've been successful by having a good team, as I said, and we are today.
Indeed you have. And I don't think anyone regrets that the move you made there. But at the same time, it's quite a move from construction to gaming. It's one of the furthest I've heard about. But this also shows that leadership is much more than knowing the industry. It's as you say, it's building good teams and good people. So basically, you could come from any industry, couldn't you, and go to another industry?
I think so. It's of course you have to be sort of interested in the products, and gambling has been close to me for throughout, in a sense. So it's nothing new in that sense. And I was, but clearly I think what is applicable from what I worked with within Skanska was kind of really big projects and stuff. And as you know from your work life as well, Jesper, it's a lot about business, it's about projects and managing and sort of working together, and it's together we create results. And I think that kind of knowledge and experience has been very valuable in Unibet and Kindred.
I agree to 100%, but I think you said something very important there. You have to love the product, and this is where I never applied for a job as in a leadership job for an insurance company or something like that, because there's no fun in it. Or it might be, but I can't find it. But you're right, you have to love the product, and if you love the product, you can basically jump into any industry as being a leader. But it's the love that comes through, and now I think it's one of my favorite topics. So we talk a lot about it at least, and we all been involved in it, and that's responsible gaming. And for me, responsible gaming is a business decision. It's about building a sustainable business and keep your customers. And I still want to say, you might disagree with me here, but we were quite early on this one with Svenska Spel, and we implemented this as Mr. Green as well. But I think, looking at this at the large, we did a lot of things, both these companies. But I think you have had one of the broadest approach to responsible gaming when it comes to how you invested in it and how you built it in. But my question here is this part of your customer strategy, or is this part of your CSR strategy?
No, but it's been an important part of our strategy and thinking and way of working for many years, and it's at the core of what we do. And we really, as I said, we build on trust, and that's not only trust between us as individuals within the company, but also between us and the customers. And we've had a sort of a principle that we want to have a lifelong relationship with our customers, taking part of their entertainment budget for life. But it should be just that. It should be the entertainment budget, and it should be for fun and what people can afford to play for. So that's where we sort of come from, and that's how we want it to be. And we have invested very early, and we've for me, I've seen this since basically 2010, 11, when we were going for these local licenses in the respective markets, and we were starting to roll out that strategy. And also when we saw the tightening regulations coming across Europe and now spreading to US and Australia and other places, that this is a key topic for everyone, and the one who takes care of the customer in the best way possible will be kind of the one has best opportunity. And we have embedded that into our culture and how we work, and we're actually very pleased that we can say hand on heart that we see a business value from working in this area and focusing on this as much as we do. And I think that's where it has to start, in a sense that you have that in the kind of DNA of the organization to really focus on this. And there is of course, as you know, 98% of the adult population enjoy gambling, but 2% are in the risk zone, and those are 2% that we work very hard to try to get to have a healthy relationship with gambling, and it's individuals behind all these kind of numbers as well. So that's also very, very important, that no one wants to neither work for a company that's creating problems for their fellow citizens or really have those situations in your family either, in a sense. So it's a core of what we do, and we really invest a lot in it, and we will continue to do so as well.
Good, I like it. And no, you've done a fantastic job there, and for me, it's also one of the things that makes this industry so interesting. It's a kind of an intellectual challenge to balance the selling and the non-selling, and that's why we started to. We were doing these tools to kind of try to find the people that shouldn't buy the product that much, and at the same time that we are trying to develop a product that people really wants to enjoy and use and stay for a long time. And this balance is what makes this industry so challenging. And you also launched the Zero Vision, and I like that a lot. I mean, I love the concept. It's bold, but it's also a bit risky in the sense, because I mean my first question is it theoretical possible to have a zero vision, because we know that 2% of the population are predestinated to gamble or overconsume our products, and is that, and so what's your view on this?
Yeah, as I said, it's in this kind of if you put it like 60% of the adult population is gambling, and 98% of those 60% are doing it for fun and more of a social aspect, and 2% is in the risk zone, and but 0.5% of the 100% is sort of a pathological gamblers, and those are the ones that should not gamble in the first place. And clearly a lot of the benefits of the locally regulated systems with the common self-exclusion registers and everything is a big step in the right direction, but it's not enough, in a sense. And for us, as I say, there are individuals behind these numbers, and they're creating tragedies for themselves and their families. And just want to make it clear that for us, it's crystal clear that we don't want to have problem gamblers on our platform. That's a starting point. But I'm very convinced that we can get very close to it ourselves, or we can get close to it ourselves. But the more cooperation and the better the system allows for channelization and everything, the easier it will be for us, but also then for everyone else in the industry as well to get closer to that number. Because with today's technology and data processing power and artificial intelligence, and if we can use technology for good, we are convinced that we are very much part of the solution and not the problem here. And it's by having a sustainable regulation that creates that opportunity for everyone.
And I still, even though I'm not on an operator side anymore, I'm still thinking a lot about this one. And I'm coming down to affordability checks. In theory, if I only could spend what I can afford, then this problem would have been gone, so to speak. If I can afford to spend 1,000 euros a month and I spend 900, then it's not the problem. But if I go above that, then it's when the problem starts. So, do you think we will have technical solutions for this going forward? Will we find it? I mean, Sweden it's an open society. We have bank ID, we have direct transfer, direct access to the tax authorities and numbers, etc., etc. Wouldn't it be possible to do pretty decent affordability checks, and by that kind of already from the start seeing that this person is probably gambling for more than he could afford or she could afford? Will that be going forward?
Yeah, as you say, in countries where that is possible, you have a better sort of 360 view of the customer, and that is sort of a big part of it. But as you know, also in most countries, the same data is not readily available, and that's where the sort of challenges start. But I think it's worth looking at it and starting from the point of view of the customer. And as you say, it's a very individual. It has to be individual based and going more or less customer by customer, because no customer is the other alike in a sense. And it's about, exactly as you say, what can a certain customer afford to play for, and that varies across. And that's why these blanket levels that we see sometimes being talked about and some companies implementing, they are completely blunt in the case, because those levels, you can rest assured, is going to be way too much for quite a few people, and it's going to be way too little for others, and you just run the risk then in a sense of pushing customers to the black market. And that's unfortunately in a sense with these deposit limits that we've seen in Sweden as well, that that's exactly what's happening there, that rather than having customers within one operator and being able to see the customer in a better way, if their limit is put on 5,000 Swedish per week, then and if it's 100 operators licensed, you can gamble away 500,000 anyway every week without being breach of the system, which makes it virtually impossible for everyone to keep control of the customers that really need that control. So I think it's an important part of it, the affordability checks, but it's just one element, and again, it has to be individually based.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. And back to the Swedish topic with the deposit limits, and deposit is probably the worst you can use, because it's not how much money I have in my wallet when I go into the restaurant. It's how much I spent in that restaurant that is the problem. And it's the same with gambling. It's not how much I deposit, because I deposit and withdraw. It's about how much I lose, and that should be the limit. And we have that data. So I mean, I think we agree on this one. Good. And to something totally different. And a very hot topic these days, and that is blockchain and cryptocurrencies. So more on the philosophical level, this is I had a debate over the weekend with some friends, and there are clearly two paths. One is saying this is totally ridiculous, this will never work, this is humbug, etc., etc. And the other group or part was kind of, no, but what's the difference between this and your money you have on your account? It's still digital. It's you don't have that value reserved somewhere, and basically it's, if people believe in it, then it will exist. So what's your view on this and iGaming? Will we see more and more? I mean, blockchain is one thing that probably could be used in play protection and so forth, but more cryptocurrency. What's your view on this coming to the industry?
Yeah, no, and I'm again first to admit that I'm not an expert in the field, but we've clearly followed the developments and have been doing for many years. We sort of looked at this quite closely and seeing it, but as I said, also when it comes to, there's certain benefits for sure about it, and also, as you say, more around the technology and how that can be used, and elements of crypto in sort of our payment solutions structure as well. But there's also, of course, the AML and those kind of topics as well that is featuring high on the agenda. So when regulations has been increasing throughout the last couple of years, that's putting further and further pressure on the industry as well to make sure that like you say, with affordability and AML and all those topics, that what is the source of funds and where does the money come from, and those kind of things, and that's still making it easier in the kind of the fiat currencies to sort of look at things in that way rather than crypto. But I think it's also one of those things, as you know, with AR, sort of we had sort of virtual reality, the VR and AR was sort of talked about a lot and that would be implemented into our games about 3-4 years ago as well. And I think crypto was also high on the agenda then, and I think these things will take shape and it will be part of the experience, but we're still not completely there, I would say, to do that. But of course, we're following developments very closely.
Good. I agree. This is still early. Blockchain technology that will be used in different ways, and I think at least. And cryptocurrency, we have casinos doing cryptocurrencies. They're doing very well. It works. They live in a very volatile world, etc., etc. So for more of a long-term strategy, it might be wise to wait a bit, but still. Yeah, virtual reality. Yeah, when the hardware looks like my glasses now, then I think it will break through heavily, and it might be the same with crypto. When enough people believes in it and start to use it, we have to use it as well in the industry. But it's an interesting topic, and I think your advice is very, very clever. We should follow this carefully and closely. And on that note, you're entering US, where we have the big brick and mortars realizing this now and starting to transform and acquiring companies to get online. So what advantages do you have as one of the pioneers in iGaming when you enter a virgin market like the US?
No, as you say, we've been looking at the US for a long time. We actually, basically since inception, we always choose not to take US business, which was a very sound decision back then. And when the UEGA kicked in 2006, we didn't feel anything from that because we were unaffected, but others were losing quite a lot at the time. So I think that was the first step. And then in 2012-13, we looked at New Jersey, then was opening up for casino online. And we looked at that very carefully and closely, and we still decided that it was too early for us at that time, and we wanted to see more about sports and what that would happen. But the PASPA was, of course, still in place. And when that got repealed in 2018, we had already taken a decision in 2017 that we would go into the US because we felt that it was getting to that time. But we have probably approached the US in a bit different way to most of our competitors, in a sense that we've clearly seen these kind of big pan-US partnerships being formed and announced, and that's not really in our DNA and way of working. And we've chosen more of a controlled expansion strategy for the US by trying to be selective, similar to what we have done in Europe and other places. And we're trying to do a careful analysis of the different states or countries on global level and seeing where would we have a good opportunity for profitable growth and be able to add value for our customers. And that's how we looked across the states in the US as well then back in 17-18, and we saw that even if it's going to be a bit more cumbersome for us to get market access in the different states, it will give us a better opportunity to have a clear and independent strategy and more optimal execution, and that's the basis that we have progressed on, and we have now the team on the ground has done a fantastic job. It's a team built up by seconded people from Europe, but also local expertise added to those European experts. So we bring our 20 plus years of experience from Europe to the US and complementing that with the local expertise of the team on the ground, and the team has secured now access to up to 12 states, which cover more than a third of the US population, and it's still before some of the bigger states are sort of clear what's going to happen there as well. So I think we have a very good position, but of course it is a competitive market, as you say. Both the bricks and mortars, but also the usual suspects from Europe is of course there as well. But at the same time, we look at this as more of a marathon and a long-term sort of challenge, and taking step by step and looking at the long-term customer experience is what we believe will differentiate us from most in the market. So it's about building the brand, but also investing in tandem with the brand and not investing too early. And so we're basically applying the experience and knowledge that we have from Europe, and we see that it works as well in the US.
With other words, a classic Henrik / Kindred approach. a strong strategy, yes, impressive execution, a marathon, and you do it a bit stealth, under the radar. Henrik, it's been a true pleasure having this discussion with you, and thanks a lot, and good luck.
Thank you very much, Jesper. It's been a pleasure being part of it.
Good. See you. Cheers. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.